All right, so we were fortunate enough to get invited to the Abigail screening. Shout out to Cecil from the horror show for getting us in contact with the peeps we needed. If you've been living under a rock somehow and you have escaped all of the trailers and all the marketing, there's been a lot. I would recommend going blind if that's possible. And we definitely recommend it.
Yes.
So if somehow you don't know anything about this, just stop it here and go.
Yes.
But for those of you who have seen the marketing, 99.9% of you, you know exactly what this is about. A plot synopsis is almost pointless, but I'll give you one. We have a ragtag team of no good thugs, basically, that are hired to abduct a little girl and take her to a private location, which is like a mansion. And when they get in there, they find out that the little girl they abducted isn't so innocent after all.
She sure ain't.
The first thing I'll say about this movie, 2023 brought us Megan, 2024 brought us Abigail.
Yeah.
Right, so we got the cool little killer kid.
There's gonna be so many Halloween costumes.
The first thing with this film is that it is directed by Radio Silence, directors of Ready or Not, Scream 5 and 6, and it stars Melissa Barrera, obviously bringing her over from Scream. We also have Catherine Newton here, Kevin Durant, Dan Stevens, and Giancarlo Esposito, who's popping up in horror movies. He's going to be in Maxine here as well.
Yeah.
If you are a fan of their style, especially Ready or Not, because I would liken it to that the most. It is like Ready or Not, but kind of in reverse, where the one versus many scenario has been flipped. They're in a big mansion, except for the damsel in distress that Samara Weaving played in Ready or Not is now in the form of a vampire who can very much take care of themselves. And I just thought this was fantastic. This is probably my favorite film of the year thus far in the genre.
Yeah, I thought it was fantastic. I had so much fun with it. I love Abigail. She's maybe my favorite part aside from Melissa Barrera's character, Joey. I love both of them.
Yeah.
But it was so good. It was so funny and so gory and just like very over the top.
I will say on the gore front, it's more blood. The way that the blood is used makes it feel gory, but I don't want people to go into it thinking that, you know, bodies are being ripped apart, things are being torn off and skewered and all these different things. A lot of that doesn't happen, unfortunately, but I never felt like it needed any more than we got. Like,
No,
if I would
I
have
loved
got
it.
more violence, I would have, of course, taken it. But this film plays to its strengths very well. They have such a great balance to their horror and their comedy, where there's goofy horror comedy where the kills and the gags and everything is meant to be funny, as to where with this, there is a lot of humor. But I still think that Abigail and a lot of scenes still play out fairly scary. So they do a great job of balancing this to not just become comedy horror.
Yeah.
It's horror and comedy married together perfectly.
Yeah, I think that they strike a really good balance between the two. One of my favorite parts of the film is, so Abigail's a ballerina, and she uses like ballet and dancing throughout the film as part of like her fighting style.
Yeah.
And I thought that that was really cool, and I'm really glad that it was incorporated, you know, in the film and not just like, oh, she's a ballerina and like, you know, left at that. It's definitely a part of her character, and I thought that was really neat.
A lot of the characters here are kind of typical archetypes, but done very well. And
Yeah.
it's because of a very strong cast. Kevin Durant is an actor that I have been familiar with for many, many years, all the way back in the Smoking Aces days. He is so funny in this. He plays like the hired muscle who's brain dead, very typical. And I could definitely see some of the humor falling flat, but with our audience, all the jokes landed.
Yes.
And very much hit well with the audience, including us. So I was very happy with pretty much everything. I genuinely don't have almost any complaints with the film. Melissa Barrera is great.
Yes.
Catherine Newton is freaking great.
Yeah.
Everybody. There's not a person in this that's wasted. It also has one of the last performances, if not the last performance, from Angus Cloud, who I've seen in Euphoria, which Kaylee didn't see, and I think this might have been the first time you ever saw him. He did pass away recently at the very young age of 25, but he's very funny in this movie. I would say my favorite scene that made me laugh the hardest in this movie involves a body slam. This got me so good.
That was great.
And as far as the kills go, back to that with the gore, I would put it in line with Ready or Not. That's the kind of level of gore that you're getting here. I just think that the setting of our house is fantastic.
Yeah, I love the house.
It just fired on all cylinders. This is such a huge win for Radio Silence. And the thing I will definitely want to say about this, more than anything, is when you have the opportunity to make Scream 7, potentially, I don't know if they were offered it or not, but to leave the Scream franchise and to do this instead is risky, but also, thank God. This is what we want to see, right? Like, as much as we'll go to these endless sequels, and I'll see Halloween till the day I die, I would much rather get something like this. It's so much better to see an Abigail than a Scream 7.
I agree. They did a great job with this new character, and I really loved how creative the movie was.
Could they build something onto this and make a franchise out of it? Sure. And because it's probably going to be successful, because a lot of people I know are going to see this, because it is a good movie and it will get good word of mouth, it will probably get a sequel. Does it need one? No. Will I see it? Yes. And of course, that's the rub. That's the problem, is we will go see them. But it's like, this 100% ends and does not need anything more to it. It is a very wonderful, self-contained film. It is always entertaining. It is always fun as hell. At the end of the day, this movie is just pure fun. Kaylee mentioned, as I'm sure others will, that this is like this year's Renfield.
Yeah.
I agree completely. But I'm not usually a vampire guy, as you guys know. The way they did this was great. And I also would be very upset with myself if I did not mention the fact that this resembles a French film that I showed Kaylee called Livid. That has a very similar premise, and I would not be surprised if this movie was inspired by that film.
Yeah.
Because that deals with criminals who break into a house, and there's like a little girl who's a ballerina, but who's also a monster.
Yeah, that movie is
I don't see how it's not inspired by that.
It's very similar, but that one is definitely much more serious.
Oh,
There's
very
no
horror.
comedy in that at all.
This is a reimagining of Livid.
Yeah.
With a lot of humor injected.
Yeah.
And if you're somebody who's like, I don't want humor in my horror, I want straight horror, this isn't for you.
No.
This is, the whole theater is gonna be laughing and having a great time 95% of the time. It's a huge recommendation.
Yes.
As I said, it's probably my contender for best of the year.
Oh yeah, it's one of the best for sure.
And let's not also forget to point out that Kaylee received an Abigail shirt from the screening. I was not given one. They gave him to her and then told her to hush hush on it, even from me. I was like, oh, cool, she got a shirt, and I didn't. That's rad. But it looks good on her, so. Definitely get out to the theater. It comes out tomorrow. You don't got to wait long. By the time you see this review, it'll be the next showing available to you.
Yes, go see it. Go to the theater.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
Yeah. All right. But guys, let us know what you think. We'll see you in the comments. Bye.
Bye.